So, GDScript. Let's talk about this programming language. Usually, GDScript as a language is not separate from Godot as an engine. These terms are inseparable, like a From Software game and the You Die screen. But it makes a lot of sense, because this language was built for the engine. It also has no use outside Godot development, at least for now. But I'm going to do the impossible and talk about GDScript as a high-level, gradually typed programming language as much as I possibly can without getting mixed up with Godot topics. From scratch, assuming you've never seen a line of code in your life before. Why? Why what? Why not mix things up? Why start from scratch? Whatever the question, I think it's easy to start from the beginning and do it in isolation, then move on to the step 2. And making all this in a fun and entertainment way. No need to rush, so relax and enjoy it. What is a script? What does it mean by scripting? In our case, it is simply a text file that contains a set of instructions written in a scripted language that a computer will read, line by line, and following using a series of reserved keywords. It should look like this. Luckily for us, the text is colored for easy viewing. Yes! It is the same principle that applies to my sim, in which I assign several tasks and he will perform one by one in order. At the left hand side, we can see how the tasks stack in sequential order, from first to last. Another example could be this lovely citizen, who will build houses, providing solutions to the increased population. But here, it performs the other way around. This is not what we expected. This is a bad example. But a good example is here, with this BB train, where each evolution follows the main train car in a real one after the other. I say one by one or one after the other, and it's here when it comes to play the next concept, declaration versus execution. You can add as much code as you need, even a script, but it should be connected to the main thread of execution at some point in time. In the future will be more time to delve deeper into the concept of lifecycle. For now, let's agree that it's a starting point, perhaps an end, and an active cycle. At some point in this timeline is where your code will be living. For example, imagine you create a script that runs every time the player enters a secret area. But if the player never found that area, groovy, the script will never run. A very common mistake beginners make is declaring a method but never calling them. It usually uses a print statement that says, "I've been here," or something similar to ensure the block of code passes through it. For simplicity, I will be using an online code editor, just to keep the concept separate. Even when there is no pain when installing Godot engine for PC, Android, or even using the web browser is a solid option as well, I will continue with the purpose of keeping the concept separate. First, we need to know what a variable is. A variable is like a chess. Inside, you can store data such as text, number, or Boolean flag. Like I was saying, a variable is like a chess, capable of storing all of the basic type, text, numbers, and Boolean. At this point, use your imagination, please. In order to declare a variable, you should follow the next structure. The reserved keyword var plus the name of your variable. Let's look at a couple of examples here. Coins, player name, and is alive. The usual way to declare a variable with more than one word is by using a sned case format. Sned case is a convention naming in which space between words are replaced with underscores, and all letters are typically written in lowercase. There are some naming restrictions. You could start with a letter or underscore and nothing else. And then you can use any letter from A to C, a number from 0 to 9, and the only symbol underscores. Spaces are not allowed. And for the name, you cannot use a reserved keyword like var, among others. And lastly, you cannot use the same name that is already being used. There are a few data type groups. Let's focus on the basic type, which internally has 3 to 4 types, like numerics, strings, and Boolean flags. Let's jump into the editor. Any editor will do just fine to see some code in action. We type the reserved keyword var followed by any name. But quick side note, the name of the variable should be as representative as possible. It is usually said that the code should be written in a way that is easy to read for human beings. Most of the time, that human is your future you. So be kind to yourself and write the most representative of all your variables. Now, let's write all the basic type. We have var, arrows, for example, equals to 15. Var, distance equals to 150.5. Var, magic, underscore, power equals to, in quotation mark, fire. Next, var, is, underscore, wizard equals to false. Here, we can do ourselves a great favor and add in distance underscore meters to indicate that the number corresponds to a measure is in meters. Otherwise, it could lead to errors or at least to a misunderstanding. Let's print to the console. This editor came with a template print hello world, which is the first program every developer does inside this ready function. We can change it to one of our variables, for example, magic underscore power. Click in the dot button, run, and voila! In this console, we can see the output, and it is fire, the content of the variable magic underscore power. Scope. Now, there is nothing stopping me to declare the following. Var magic underscore guild equals to, in quotation mark, son of the lights, and then print this variable in a new print statement. Hit run, and it is son of the lights. So, what is the difference between declaring the variable here or over there? Well, as you might see in the name of this chapter, scope, I'm not good at keeping the mystery. Let's talk about scope, shall we? We could identify these two options inside this ready function called as function or local scope, and at the top level, there is a member or class scope. This means that the variable or function who has this level of scope can only be used in the same rectangle drawing here. With this come a couple of rules to remember. First, at the class scope, you can declare variables and functions and match as you need, but you cannot execute functions here. At the function scope, you can declare variables but not functions, and here is the only way you can execute calls on another functions. Note that inside the block there is an indentation denoted with a symbol greater than and a pipe to indicate that this line of code and all of the following lines with the same pattern belongs to the block of code, in this case a function. This is known as the scope, and for now everything is valid because we need to run our code inside the ready function with the same or higher scope, which is what we have by default. Do you remember that GDScript is also a static typing language? Probably not. Because static typing means that you must declare after the name with a colon the type of your variable belongs to. It could be integer, floating point number, string, or bool. And if you omit doing so, it counts as a declaration without initialization as a variant type with the tag nil. But don't think about that now, and let's pretend it is a null type, and it will be much better and all happy. Why are there two types of typing, and which one should you use? Well, it has been part of an evolution from non-static typing to static typing, and that's what you should prefer because it's less prone to error. Yes, the downside is you need to write a little bit more code, but this way you or another programmer can override the type or confuse the type, especially when the script is large and it is late at night and you or the other programmer are tired and just want to go to bed. So to recap, with basic data types, we have the quotation mark, null type without initialization, Boolean values, a sort of yes, no, the Shin Chan, light on, light off, numeric type like integer or float with a very large and extensive range, and finally a string of text. Next in our list is operators. An operator is a symbol that indicates to the system that an operation must be made on the values of the variable. This doesn't mean that the original values stored inside the variable have changed. It remains as it was, but instead we get a new calculated value. But first, we need to write a comment with a number sign, hashtag or cat symbol. And whatever we write after this symbol, it will be ignored by the compiler. This is perfect for comments. Is this the first operator? It should be. I declare that yes, it is. It is not. We can add a comment before these print statements and prevent those to be executed, keeping the console a little bit cleaner. Now, identity. We can add this as a prefix before a number variable like arrows, and like in math, it keeps the value as positive. On the opposite side, negation, with the prefix minus, negates this value. Distance underscore meter. If you try to use this on a bool variable or a string, it will end up in an error. We can see those errors in this editor by using the DevTools and the Console tab. Identity and negations are known as unary operator because it uses a single variable to operate. When we operate over two values, those are called binary operators. The first binary operator we want to see is addition. As you can suggest, it takes numeric variables and performs the sums. Interestingly enough, you can concatenate two strings together with the same operator. The opposite of this one is subtraction. It does what you expected. Now, see what happens if we print now the value of distance underscore meter. It is still 150.5 because even after doing a bunch of operations with this variable, the value that resides inside does not change. Multiplication and division. In computer science, the asterisk symbol is the multiplication operation, and the forward slash is the division. The only catch, as you might or might not see, is that you cannot divide by 0.
But technically, you do in calculus when you study the behavior of functions in the limit as their input tend to some value, and that value could be 0.
Yeah, but you get the point. Remainder is another binary operator, indicated with the percentage symbol. And what it does, well, do you remember back in school when you have to do this kind of division? 15 between 2, it is 7, times 2, 14. 15 minus 14 is 1. And there you have it. This is the remainder in the division in the natural number set. You can do that with a percentage symbol. Let's see on the console if I am right. This is useful to calculate even and odd numbers and in optimizations. In the same line, we have the bitwise operator. What it does is a little more complicated to explain what it actually happened under the curtain. We have two types. First, to the left, with 2 less than symbol put together, or to the right, with 2 greater than symbols. Right bitwise, add as many zeros as you indicate in the second term. Left bitwise, remove digits as you indicate with the second term. The thing is, this operation happened in the binary form, with zeros and 1. For example, we have on this developer calculator the number 15 in decimal. Its equivalent in binary is 1, 1, 1, 1. If I switch to binary input and type 1, 1, 1, 1 and add 3 zeros to the right, it becomes 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, which in decimal number it is 120. Let's see in the console if I'm right or not. And it is 120. You might wonder why all this. This is used in optimization because it is cheaper to perform this shifting than doing multiplications and divisions. But, for now, let's keep in mind that it exists, and all the calculations we could continue using regular mathematical operations until much more later. And finally, we have comparison operators. We take two values and compare between each other to get a Boolean value in return. For example, with equals 2 times, we can print arrows equals to 15 and get a true after return value. The other comparison operators are greater or greater than and less or less than. So to recap, GDScript. We cover what is script using reserved keywords, indentations, and the concept of execution versus declaration. The difference between non-static typing and static typing, variables, its basic data types, naming restrictions, and scope, operators, unitaries, and arithmetics. We are missing logic operator, but for now, I think it's okay. And just like before, alongside this lesson, there is a documentation site which serves as a summary of what you have seen that you can review. So, if you don't want to miss the second part or more, subscribe to this channel. If you like this video, let me know with a like or a dislike. Another comment with a hashtag symbol. Well, I believe it's not necessary here on YouTube. Okay then, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you soon in another one. Take care, bye bye.